So, back for another episode of Believe in Boyt with a brand new team. This is a team that I found in the VGC Paste repository. They have a huge amount of rental teams available to choose from, so I'll link that in the description so you can go and check that out. This is where I found this. I was just scrolling through to find a Pokemon that stood out to me, and SUNFLORA caught my eye. So now we're using this SUNFLORA team. It was built by a player called Gowota. Their information will be in the description as well, as the team ID and the Pokebase will be in the description also. So, this seems to be somewhat of a hard Trick Room team. Whether that's trying to sweep with the Armarouge in Trick Room, or with the SUNFLORA in Trick Room. So you can get a couple of ways of getting that going. You can do the classic and the Armarouge, so you can get your expanding forces with redirection and then set Trick Room, or you can go with the Choice Scarf Annihilate, so you can Final Gambit and Trick Room as well. It doesn't just have to be the Armarouge that goes for Trick Room. Klefki now gets access to Trick Room in this generation, so that can be the Trick Room setter as well, and then that can set Sunny Day for the Armarouge to get massive armor cannons, or for the SUNFLORA to get the solar power activated, and you can get some very strong solar beams. And then you got that Hydreigon just to round off the team, just to give a little bit of a faster mode with the Terra Poison, Terra Blast as well. So this is hopefully going to be quite a fun team to use. I'm looking forward to using SUNFLORA. Let's get into some battles. Okay, pretty standard Dondozo, although you don't see Tyranitar on it too often. So I guess the way of breaking through Dondozo would be just blasting it with Solar Beam in Trick Room. That seems to be what it would be. I think Annihilate's probably one of the better ways of enabling the Trick Room. I think I have Reflect on this Klefki, right? So there's a lot of physical attackers there. Like, well, 3 of them. But, yeah, it's just, is it Klefki or is it Armarouge? Not a big fan of Hydreigon this game. Yeah, I think I'm just going to go with Klefki, and then I'll have Armarouge and SUNFLORA in the back. I may have needed to save the Annihilate to Final Gambit the Dondozo, because that does seem like it's one of the better ways of dealing with it. It doesn't KO it, but it brings it down so low that any attack KOs it. They copied my trainer card, that's rude. Yeah, it brings it down so low that any attack will then KO it. So. Okay, Meowscarada and Hydreigon. Like, Klefki's just not threatened here at all, is it? I don't need to Trick Room this turn. So I can just go for Close Combat. Close Combat and Reflect, right? Which one do I Close Combat? Which one's better? I got Play Rough as well, actually. I don't know if I even need to Reflect. I can just Play Rough. It just depends if they Terrastallize into a Fire. If they Terrastallize into a Fire type. Yeah, I'm going to Close Combat and I'm going to Play Rough. Okay, that's going to work out well. Don't be Sash. Okay, it's Sash, but, you know, that's standard. But they didn't Terrastallize, so Klefki might just get KO immediately. That'd be funny. Don't know if I get KO to... I don't think I get to KO to a Flower Trick, right? Just knock off, that's fine. Mental Herb was useless here, unless they had Taunt anyway. Is it just Heat Wave? It's Dark Pulse, that's fine. Yeah, because like I said, Klefki wasn't threatened. And that was a crit, so now the Hydreigon disappears. Well, that's a good start. Very nice. The awkward thing here is that if they go into Dondozo, they're surely switching into Tatsugiri immediately. But that means that I can save the Annihilate. Well, that's Tatsugiri, so they might just switch into Dondozo instead. I could just Sunny Day, actually, to keep my Klefki around. Because if I Close Combat the Meowscarada and go for Sunny Day, Klefki can't be KO'd this turn, and I'll be able to Reflect on the next turn. So I think that's okay. If they switch into Dondozo immediately, then that would have been some chip damage onto the Dondozo. But this is a KO of Meowscarada. The sun is up ready for solar beams in the future as well now. So that's quite nice. This is going alright. Muddy Water? Which one did it miss? Oh, that's the good one. Good. Because now I just have Final Gambit still ready to go. Because now I can go for Reflect and just hard switch into SUNFLORA, right? It's amusing that I just haven't had to click Trick Room at all this game. And I still have full HP Final Gambit. So, how fast was this? Was it max speed? Oh, not quite max speed. But that outspeeds not Jolly, I don't think. I think Jolly would still get me. But no one's Jolly. So, I'll switch into the SUNFLORA. And I will Reflect. And then I'll be able to Final Gambit it at some point. To be fair, I still need to contend with the Tatsugiri in the end game, but this is still okay. Like this is going surprisingly well. But then Dondozo is always going to be a Pokemon that can come back in a game. Just an order up, that's okay. That was a potential for a Trick Room. Do I want to Trick Room? Because then the Annihilate can just Final Gambit. If I get any kind of chip damage on. But if I switch into Armarouge this turn, they would have to Earthquake, and if they Earthquake... Now surely the SUNFLORA is the threat, right? So I'm going to be greedy here. I'm going to switch into Armarouge, and I am going to Trick Room. Even though my Annihilate could Final Gambit it. This would allow my Armarouge and SUNFLORA to just sweep in the Trick Room. Well, that worked out. That was pretty good. Shame I didn't hard switch into Annihilate there. That would have been probably best, but that's good. Right, so... Yeah, Terrasilize into a Grass type with this is going to be best, and then it's just Expanding Force. Armor Cannon I don't think is necessary. Which is stronger, actually. Well, Armor Cannon reduce my defenses. Armor Cannon is a little bit stronger, but only a little, and it would reduce my defenses. So, did I Terrasilize? Make sure I Terrasilize. Terrasilize into the Expanding Force, and just play rough. Ideally, I lose Klefki this turn to an Earthquake. It might have been better, actually, to just stay as not a Grass type and take the Earthquake, because then I get a Weakness Policy. But that doesn't matter, because they're unaware, so that wouldn't have made a difference. So, better just to not take damage here. Get the attack drop, Klefki. You know you can do it. Oh. Oh. Not quite, but that's okay. That's not as much chip as I would have liked. But that is an Earthquake, so that's KO Klefki fine. That's good. Not much to the Armarouge at all. Now, how many turns of Sun do I have left? Because I don't want to have locked into a Solar Beam that can be protected on. Probably has to be just Energy Ball. But it is definitely SUNFLORA. But now we get the specs. If it's 2 turns, I will likely go for Solar Beam, because then I get at least 1 off. But if it's 1 turn, I will go for Energy Ball. It's 1 turn, so I'll go for Energy Ball. Then yeah, just Expanding Force again. And let's see how strong this is going to be. As they Terrasilize into the Dragon / Flying type. Might be better to go for Armor Cannon to cover for the Flying type Terrasalization, actually. But they didn't. Could have gone for Solar Beam. How strong is this? Oh, SUNFLORA, let's go! That wasn't even Solar Beam. Amazing. So there was someone that was debating me as to why SUNFLORA would be considered a B tier Pokemon. Look at that. That was Energy Ball. That wasn't even Leaf Storm or Solar Beam. Amazing. Let's go, SUNFLORA. SUNFLORA is the true Dondozo counter. Amazing. That was a brilliant start. I wasn't expecting Energy Ball to Oko, but that's just brilliant. Okay. How do they stop Trick Room? That's going to be the question I ask for every single one of these. Again, if I go with Indeedee and Armor Rouge, I don't think they can. I'll be curious to see how they would. Don't particularly like going with the Annihilate as the lead here. SUNFLORA is... SUNFLORA is actually not that great here, unfortunately. So I'm inclined to go with the Hydreigon. How fast is this Hydreigon? It is just max speed, okay. And then, yeah, SUNFLORA is not great here, unfortunately. So I think it'll be Annihilate, and hopefully I'll be able to do Annihilate things in the back after Trick Room is over. That's an interesting trainer card. At least that's not a selfie. So many people are just doing selfies as their trainer cards. Well, that's not really going to do it for them. So... Now, they can't Shadow Ball, because I can just follow me. So do I get greedy on the fact that they can't Shadow Ball? Because surely they're not going to. But then could they read into my greed? I will be greedy here, because surely you do not go for Shadow Ball. Right? That would be very surprising if you do. Okay, potential slash broken, that's good. Is this going to be the Steel Make It Rain? Right? Yeah, just Steel. So again, probably just Make It Rain, and that's what I'm looking for. There it is. That's going to chunk the Indeedee and the Armor Rouge, but that is not a way of stopping Trick Room. So now, do they Wide Guard on my Expanding Force? Surely, right? So I'm inclined to double up into this Armor Rouge with Armor Cannon and Psychic. That's not Armor Cannon. That's Armor Cannon. If I get this wrong and the Pelipper just attacks the Armor Rouge, then that's very bad. But that was an opportunity to just Expanding Force, but it doesn't really matter. Is this going to be strong enough with the Rain up? Unlikely, but it'll be close. It's going to be close. Might just about do it. Go on, Indeedee, you can do it. Oh! Yeah, nice. Perfectly calculated. And their Terrestrialization is used up as well now, so that's very good. Would it be a terrible idea to Terrestrialize Indeedee so I can get an actual reasonable Dazzling Gleam? Probably not if they go into Pelipper, because then they could still be Wide Guarding on the Expanding Force. But if they do Wide Guard on the Expanding Force, do I actually care? Because then the Pelipper's not attacking. So yeah, I'm going to Psychic the Pelipper that will cover the Wide Guard, and then I will Expanding Force the Pelipper as well. That's a really slow Pelipper. What? That's a really slow Pelipper. Why is Pelipper that slow? What's going on? Why is Murkrow that slow? What's going on? Oh yeah, because this was a reasonably fast Indeedee, wasn't it? That was weird. Now I'm in Trick Room with a Scarf poke. Oh, that's not good. Well, I have to Terrestrialize the Annihilate here, but that's not good. That slow Pelipper has not done good things for me. If I went for Follow Me and Expanding Force, then that would be much better. Clearly, I was fighting. I know. I understand why it's fighting, but now that's not good for me. Right. So, is it one turn of Trick Room left? Tell me it's one turn, even though it is two. Right, it's two. I guess just start Pulse Decay with the Pelipper, but yeah, that's not ideal. At least this will weaken the Foul Play, so maybe Annihilate, because it's max HP, survives the Hurricane and the Hurricane and the Foul Play. And given the fact that the Pelipper's slow, it might just be bulky. So it's just unlikely to be max attack, based on that logic. That's going to be so close if foul play's enough. And obviously I get confused, because I always get confused by Hurricane. Oh. No, not quite. That was likely quite close. But now this is not a good position. Just depends if the last Pokemon can break through Hydreigon, because Murkrow can't really. It'll just depend on this last Pokemon. Meowscarada can't really do it that well. Well, I'm going to Draco it. I mean, that makes sense. Because you might as well stall out the last turn of Tailwind. And get some chip with the foul play, and it's actually going to be... Yeah, that's going to be chipping too much, I think. If they're not Focus Sash on Meowscarada, I could still do it. If they are Focus Sash, it's definitely over. And the fact that they have Protect usually implies that they have Focus Sash. So, that slow Pelipper was the killer there for sure. I guess if I didn't bring Annihilate, if I'd have brought Klefki instead, then I could have just attacked with Play Roughs instead. And gone for Sunny Day in the face of the Pelipper, actually. That would have been better. Yeah, that would have definitely been better. Yeah, just Flower Trick, so... I have to see if they're Focus Sash or not. Yeah, that's doing too much. Because even if it's not Focus Sash and I KO, I won't be strong enough to... Oh, it's Life Orb, so, you know. At least I KO the Meowscarada, but 2 foul plays gets me with the fact that I'm Life Orb chipping myself as well, so I need a critical hit Draco Meteor right this second. Maybe not right this second, because I'm not going for it right this second, but... Yeah, I need it on the next turn, for sure. And maybe even then it won't KO. So... It is my final hit, so critical hit Draco Meteor, of course. Hydreigon, would you like to make up for all the Draco Meteors that you've missed? No, you would not. But yeah, that was pretty close. The slow Pelipper was the big thing. Also, me bringing Annihilate, like I need, like the intention of that was I sweep in Trick Room to an extent and then just have it waiting in the back ready afterwards. But yeah, that should have probably been the Klefki for Sunny Day for the Pelipper instead. I like that team. That's a team like I may steal at some point. Although they got a bit of an overlap with the Breloom and the Amoonguss. I think that's probably a bit unnecessary, having both. But... Okay. The Amoonguss could be annoying, but Sunflora would ignore it. So I don't think that's the worst thing. I'm going to try and do the Sunflora. Even though Indeedee is actually pretty reasonable here. I'm going to attempt, like, the point of this is I'm doing the Sunflora, so I'm going to try for that. Although, to be fair, there's 6 Grass Resists on that team. So I'm not sure why I'm actually going for the Sunflora, but there we go. What was the Terra type on this Sunflora? Was it Fairy? If it was Fairy... that would have been okay. Because then I can go for the Fairy type Dazzling Gleams. Yeah, this might be me trying to force Sunflora a bit too much. Me reading into, oh, I can ignore the Amoonguss and not do much damage back. Also, there's a Dragonite, so bringing in Indeedee would have been a very good idea. That's a cool trainer card. Still a selfie, though. Just leave with Breloom straight away. So I could Final Gambit the Dragonite and then just accept the sleep. And I think that's probably the best thing to do. I will attempt to Trick Room, I don't expect to. So they can't Extreme Speed the Annihilate, which is nice. The Breloom is going to be annoying here, but at least next turn I'll be able to go into Armourouge to Terrestrialize that and Trick Room. And then that would be okay. And then that takes on the Amoonguss as well. If they let me take care of the Dragonite, that'd be good, because extreme speeding would be annoying because I didn't bring in DD. If I did bring in DD, I wouldn't focus that as hard as I am going to on this Dragonite. Are they going to use up their Terrestrialization immediately? They do, that's very... Like, yeah, on the Breloom. Okay, fine. Not sure what Dark is for. What are they expecting with that one? That's weird, but Dragonite's gone. I guess Dark is for Prankster Taunt. But what? Why did they need to do that? Like, it's immune to whatever the Klefki could go for. Maybe it was expecting, like, Thunder Waves and all that. Potentially. But yeah, this is now Armor Rouge, and then Quick Trick Room. I will attempt to play rough the Breloom, and if the Klefki gets off, I'm in a very strong position. If it doesn't, then it's not the worst thing. I could attempt to Reflect as well, but breaking the Sash on the Breloom is probably better to enable me to potentially sweep and Trick Room. Okay. Because now that I'm going to Terrestrialize, I may not be able to... I could Wide Guard and Trick Room. But no, they're like likely going for Shadow Ball here, right? So I will just Trick Room with this, and I will attempt to play rough to break the Sash of the Breloom. And if I don't, that's not the worst thing. It would have been better, but it's not the worst thing, because then next turn I've got a pretty guaranteed Armor Cannons that Goldengo slots. This is where they bust out the Terrible Ass Dark on the Breloom as well. I don't expect to BKO to a Make It Rain, especially because they can't Terror into a Steel type. So this should be guaranteed Trick Room, right? I can't see a way I don't get Trick Room up outside of maybe some critical hits. Does Klefki go down? It does. Oh, there was a critical hit. But it was on the Klefki, okay. So that's definitely specs on the... Oh no, I'm in Mach Punch range. So getting Trick Room up doesn't actually help me here at all. Because now I just get KO to Mach Punch. This is where I needed DD over SUNFLORA. Like, if I brought in DD over SUNFLORA, I was perfectly fine here. But, yeah, like, that's not good. Because then that could have just been Armor Cannon into the Goldengo and then Dazzling Gleam with the Indeedee, but the fact that I've just let myself take this much damage and be in Mach Punch range is not good. Unless they call or protect or something, but there's no downside to them just Mach Punching the Armor Rouge. And the fact that they switched out the Goldengo and is like, alright, there's a Mungus as well. Like, you know, SUNFLORA ignores it. Hooray. But, yeah, that needs to be Indeedee. Because if it was Indeedee over SUNFLORA, then that turn is just Armor Cannon into Goldengo. I know it's specs. That's a KO Goldengo / Amoonguss. And I get to go for Dazzling Gleam to have broken the Sash on the Breloom as well. And then, even if they switch into like if they sacrifice the Goldengo, then can't Solar Beam. If they switch into switch the Goldengo to Amoonguss, that gets KO'd, most likely. And if they let the Goldengo go down, then I can just ignore the Amoonguss with the Armor Rouge and Armor Cannon KO the Breloom. So then, yeah, that needs to be Indeedee over SUNFLORA. And I was far too hard tunnel visioning onto I want to use SUNFLORA, because that's so much damage. That's a critical hit again. Yeah, far too tunnel visioned on I want to use SUNFLORA here. Because clearly, against 6 grass resist, SUNFLORA was not the play. And that's a trap that some people can fall into. So, like, I fell into it as well. Maybe not in so much in, like, serious tournament play, but that was me saying, I want to use SUNFLORA, even though it's terrible here, and got super punished because I didn't bring in DD. Okay. So, can I force SUNFLORA? I mean, it's not the worst, but again, it's still not the best here. They are actually quite slow with their Azumarill and King Gambit, so going for Trick Room may not be advisable. So I might just go fast mode here with Annihilate and Hydreigon. With the Trick Room mode in the back. Rip SUNFLORA. I'm going to learn my lesson and see that SUNFLORA isn't that great here. I mean, it's good against the Azumarill. But other than that, like, I'm okay against the Azumarill. That's a really cool trainer card. I'm okay against the Azumarill because of the Indeedee stopping the Aqua Jets that come out. So that's not bad for Annihilate. So I think I will just close combat, even though it's quite predictable. And Terra Poison? Terra Poison is not bad here. Draco just KOs a not Sash one. I'm going to go for Draco. I don't want to commit to the Terra just yet. And that's why I didn't want to commit to the Terra just yet. So this is a good start. Because that's a KO'd King Gambit, for sure. Like, no chance of survival. Unless they Terra'd, but they didn't, so I'm glad I didn't Terra that turn. And I don't get -2 on the Draco as well, because now I can just close combat the Meowscarada very safely. And even if it's Sash, I can go for Dark Pulse, or even just normal Terra Blast if I wanted. So this is perfectly fine. Azumarill, now I do absolutely want to Terra, so I will close combat to the Meowscarada, and I will Terra Poison into the Azumarill. So I'm not particularly a fan of Terra Poison, but it is very effective on Hydreigon against Azumarill specifically, because Steel is kind of like neutral, Fire is bad, but I prefer Fire on my Hydreigons. But this is a case where Poison is definitely superior. A lot of people only run Poison on choice specs, so I think that can be explored on Hydreigon a little bit more, and it will be team dependent, obviously. Is it Sash? It is Sash. To be expected. But that Azumarill is taking a huge chunk. I don't expect the KO, but I'm expecting a huge chunk. I'm expecting a less huge chunk now, because the Life Orb is gone. But this will still do over half. Life Orb would have got it. Life Orb would have got it. Okay. So, now Armarouge or Indeedee. Indeedee can just go for a Dazzle Gleam this turn and pick up the... Knockoff did 90. And I've lost an item, so it would do 60. So I can just afford to go into Indeedee and click Dazzle Gleam for a double KO. Right? Because they can't knock off KO the Hydreigon, so I can just attack the Azumarill with that anyway. And knockoff can't... I don't want to say can't, but I'm pretty confident that should not KO Indeedee given the fact that the item is gone. So I can go for Dazzle Gleam here. And again, just go for... So they have a Steel potentially in the back. That's not a button, I always get it wrong. They do have a potential Steel in the back, so I will Dark Pulse, which will still KO the Azumarill. But will cover for a Goldango switch in. It's unlikely, but I might as well cover for it because it's just better. You might as well cover for these things if you've got two 100%s and one of them covers the other thing that can happen. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, didn't think that would KO, so that's good. And then Dazzle Gleam will pick up the Meowscarada. And then if it's Goldengo, then I can just go for Dark Pulse into that very comfortably. If it is was it Murkrow? I think Murkrow was one of them. Murkrow would be okay, because that can just be a follow me and Terra Poison into the Azumarill, and that's guaranteed as well. And Pormont was the other one, wasn't it? Okay, they could revive the Blessing then. But if they do, they take the Psychic. So I will just go for Terra Blast here into the Azumarill. Double Shock might KO the Hydreigon, actually. Or they can fake it out because I'm off the ground. Yeah, okay. I should have Dazzling Beam then. Oh, that's a cool play. However, I can now go for Expanding Force for the KO. And they weren't Sash on the... This might be Assault Vest then, right? No, not even. So, yeah, no opportunity back for them. Oh, because it was Air Balloon, because I'm not paying attention. And even then, like, the Meowscarada had the Focus Sash, so Pormot couldn't. So, if they were Assault Vest, they would have survived, but I clearly saw that they were not Assault Vest. So, you know, you should always be paying attention and pick up on all the details that do reveal themselves, because Pokemon is a game of information, and I'm just not listening. Or seeing, as such. So, game is won. Very good, very good. Unfortunately, Sunflora was not necessary there, but I'm pretty sure that Sunflora did its job in that first game.